Good morning, St. Francis. Good morning, people of God. It is Thursday, the 30th day of May, 2024. It is Thursday of the 8th week of the year, the 8th week in Ordinary Time. Creeping ever closer to the conclusion of the month of May. It's hard to believe, again, as we move into the summer months very, very quickly here, especially here in the south, where it gets warmer and hotter more than it does, I think, anywhere else. But another beautiful day, as you can see, blue skies here in Carolina. Today, on this Thursday of the 8th week of the year, continuing with that first letter of St. Peter to what was probably the church at Rome. Again, this letter that asks the people who are now identifying themselves as Christians, this first Christian community, to know who they are and to whom they belong. Again, this great idea, not just knowing who you are, but whose you are, that you belong to Christ. And again, that title of a chosen race, a royal priesthood, a people set apart, that is given to the children of Israel is now extended. It is not, it does not replace Israel, but it now is extended to include the Gentiles, to include all people who have been created by God, because all of humanity has been created by God, to be aware of this relationship that they have with God, and again, how to act, how to speak, how to conduct themselves, in public. And again, the interesting thing about this part of the letter is that at the end of it is that kind of wonderful sort of admonition that, non-believers may call you evil things and say that you're crazy and whatever it is, but they will come around to kind of understanding you and understanding this whole movement, again, by the actions that you respond to them with. And again, it is that people come to believe or not to believe in Christ many times more by our failure to witness Christ to them, or to be Christ to them, or to act in Christian ways to them, than they ever come to the faith based upon doctrines and dogmas and things like that. It's a very important lesson, again, for us always to remember that, again, salvation comes, to people through Christ, but salvation comes through us and our actions. And if people are going to have meaning in their life and find meaning in their life, it is basically measured by how much our lives can offer meaning to their lives. And our lives can be this great sign of hope and wonder and of glory and of joy that we are called to live as believers in this world. The gospel for today is Bartimaeus, the blind man, the son of Timaeus, who calls out to Jesus from the side of the road, "Help me, help me, help me." Again, why is Bartimaeus doing this? It's probably because he's heard that this man can do great magical tricks and can heal people, and so Bartimaeus wants it, and so he calls out to him from the road. And again, the sort of audacity that he has to dare to speak to the teacher in such a way, or to call after him, like some common whatever it is. But Bartimaeus is rewarded. Again, while he's trying to be silenced by the people around him and by the apostles, perhaps, because the apostles, again, are always trying to protect Jesus, which is, again, a thing that we have even today, is that we try to protect Christ. We try to protect Christ. Again, it's like, make sure that this part, is sacred. This part is kept away from people. Nobody approaches, tabernacles and things like that, because somehow we have to keep Jesus safe, because he cannot take care of himself. Again, if we ever stop to think that in some ways that edges very close to blasphemy, because again, it's as if the creator of all things cannot protect himself. And again, sometimes what we do at times, again, when unfortunately a host will drop on the ground, or some perhaps of the precious blood spills on the ground, and we take it as if it is the greatest offense and a helpless Jesus is lying there, who needs our help. That is not the case. Again, that is blasphemy. To think that this God who does all these things cannot help himself, is not a good way to be. Respect, reverence, yes, but to go crazy sometimes, that's not what we're called to be. So these apostles were trying to protect Jesus from this man who was in desperate need of his help, whether or not the man is doing it out of sincere faith or the desire to grow in faith or whatever it is. The man needs Jesus' help, and Jesus basically says, bring him to me. And again, he asks the man really what he wants, and for this man to respond means that this man believes that Jesus can do all those things that he's heard Jesus can do. So the man basically says, I want to see, to be upright. There is no begging, there is no pleading, there is no, if it's not too bothersome, if you deign, that horrible word, deign, that sometimes comes into our prayer language. It's like if you would overlook everything else, and I'm not too burdensome to you, could you please help me? This man doesn't say anything like that. He basically just says, I want to see. And because, again, the whole context of this is you do all these wonderful things I've heard. Now let's you prove yourself. Show your sauce, I guess in some ways. But that's the thing, is that this Jesus wants to heal, wants to do these things, but we have to believe and not be afraid to ask. We have to believe and not be afraid to state what it is that we need. Again, not with the pleading and the begging and whatever it is. Sometimes occasions may call for that, yes, but it's not really where Jesus is at, especially in this part of Mark's gospel, which is wonderful in some ways because the freshness of Mark's gospel, the shortness of it, the rapid movement that happens through Mark's gospel really shows us a Jesus that is unencumbered by all of those things that we have placed upon him, that he has to be this way and only this way, that he has to be approached in this way and only this way. What Mark's gospel shows us is that there are many ways in which to approach Christ, but always knowing that in approaching Christ, it is a Christ who wants to heal and make us whole. Continue blessed day, St. Francis and people of God. May the Lord give you his peace.